Indigo Sky, aka Trickle Ranking. Basically up in here, we about to do a little live, man. Just trying to see what's going on. Y'all know with the freestyle fanatics, I've been trying to get the volumes up on that. So freestyle fanatic. We're about to listen to the Petty Show. Y'all know I love going with the Petty Show. So Petty Show, that's one of my favorite joints. I love it. I love the Petty Show. That's one of my go-tos that I love to react to on my channel. So this one, Shannon Sharp blasts ESPN for letting Charles Barkley break all the rules. So let's see what they talking about on Petty Show, y'all.
You qualify for a brand new smartphone with unlimited service.
You can get fired. So they can't fire me.
That's my personality. Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me.
I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously.
Charles Barkley's blowing up the rulebook at ESPN, and Shannon Sharp isn't having it. See, Chuck's out here flexing a $210 million deal and doing whatever he wants. He's refusing extra appearances and daring ESPN to fire him. Meanwhile, Shannon's forced to watch from the sidelines after being cut from the same network over a scandal. And to no one's surprise, he's fuming over the entire situation, calling out ESPN for not firing Barkley. All the while, he's dealing with lawsuits, morality clauses, and a boss who's reportedly watching his every move. But Chuck's not having it. He's showing Shannon the mirror and reminding him of exactly where he stands. Just what's really going on behind the scenes. Why does Charles get a free pass while Shannon gets shown the door? Let's find out. So Charles recently sat down on Outkick's Don't At Me with Dan Dockich and made some interesting comments about his employer. He practically told ESPN that he's not going to talk about the Lakers even if they're writing his paychecks. He's going to speak his mind and they can either get on board or get out.
2 different radio national shows, and I said, I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day or Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN. And you
What's up?
ESPN, their coverage of the Lakers.
How you doing?
What are your thoughts as this is your last?
Hit that like button. Hit that like button.
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to say or what to do.
So apparently ESPN has signed him. Y'all hit that like button. Apparently everything Gucci, man. We in here talking about this Shannon Sharp, and they saying Shannon Sharp is basically upset with Charles Barkley because ESPN just signed him to a $200 million contract. And basically, Shannon Sharp is like upset because basically, you know, Charles Barkley telling y'all, hey bro, I don't care what y'all pay me. I'm gonna do what I wanna do. So yeah, we getting into it right now, y'all. Thank y'all for checking out the Freestyle Fanatics podcast.
I thought I get upset. They're like the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not contenders. You know, Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. Lakers are contenders, and I said, they're not contenders.
Usually people in Chuck's position would say whatever their bosses want them to say if they want to keep the job. But Chuck, he's not worried about getting fired. It's something ESPN simply can't afford. So if there's any winners in this situation, it's Chuck, and he knows it all too well. He said, ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me.
$200 million, that's a big ass contract.
I mean, first of all, if they fire me, they got to pay me for 7 years, and I'm going to quit way before then. But if they want to fire me, I would love for them to do that. The only decision we've been making is how long I'm going to work. I'm not worried about getting fired, and nobody at ESPN is going to tell me what to say or do, period. See, Charles signed a 10-year, $210 million contract in 2022 to be an analyst on the Best Basketball pregame and postgame show.
Charles Barkley has reportedly agreed to a 10-year deal with TNT that's estimated to be worth over $100 million. Let's be honest, Barkley is arguably one of the most popular sports studio analysts out there, and he's in a landscape where salaries for sportscasters have just changed dramatically over the years. And if TNT were to let him go, it'd just be terrible. Just terrible.
And the thing with these contracts is the money's always handed out. So for ESPN, firing Chuck if he bends the rules to his whims isn't even an option, because then they'll be on the hook for $210 million. To make things worse, Chuck is not passionate about slaving away in the workforce until he's in his 70s.
But for me personally, I wanted you guys to hear from me, because I'm not doing any more interviews. Don't y'all be calling me. Nobody calling me. I'm not talking about this again, but I want to tell my NBA and NBA TV and TNT family that I'm not going to another network, but I'm going to pass the baton to either Jamal Crawford or Vince Carter or you, Steve. But next year, I'm going to just retire after 25 years, and I just want to say thank you.
He wants to retire, unlike the folks at ESPN like Stephen A. Smith and even Shannon Sharp. Those guys want to keep hustling. When their current deal expires, they would want another one on the table. And that means they don't have the room to make their employers angry like Barkley.
So y'all hit the like button.
On NBA TV, Chuck had people shocked when he said this. I ain't going nowhere other than TNT, but I have made the decision myself that no matter what happens, next year is going to be my last year on television. And no, he's not even saying that to bag better deals. Chuck made it clear that he has already talked to other networks and he doesn't plan on signing on the dotted line for any of them.
You know, there's been a lot of noise around our network.
So what do y'all think? Do y'all think that Chuck gonna stay with TNT, or do y'all feel like he gonna go to ESPN? I feel like it sounds like to me from the way he talking, sounds like he might retire, bro. Like he might be tired of this, you know. I mean, he is up in age, you know.
A few months. And I just want to say, I've talked to all the other networks, but I ain't going nowhere.
So he doesn't have anything to lose in this entire situation. And when he sat down on Outkick recently, his feelings on the matter hadn't changed. He said he'd been in talks with the network about how long he'll be working. Technically, he still has 7 years left on his contract, but Chuck made it clear that there's no chance of him fulfilling that end of the deal.
The only decision we've been making is how long I'm gonna work. And I've been going back and forth with TNT for the last 2 months, whether I'm gonna work 2 years or 3 years. But if I really wanted to, I could stay for 7 years, which there's no chance of that happening. Zero.
Keep in mind that if the network decides to fire him during this time, they'll be paying him the full amount for the contract. To add to the growing list of issues, Barkley said that he is not interested in doing appearances
That's a hell of a
on
contract
Get Up,
right there, bro.
First Take.
I would love to have a contract like that. If you fire me, you gotta pay me all my money. So I signed for $200 million, and if you fire me, you gotta pay me $200 million. That's a win-win, bro. That's a win-win.
Center.
I might come to work on my draws. I might try to get fired. Like, fuck that. Shit, let's do it. I'm gonna wake up like, yeah, today is the day. We gonna get fired today. We going home, bro.
Any other ESPN
Hey, like what Trick say, we're gonna take it to the house, man. Take it to the house.
programming once he joins, which honestly seemed like a natural progression of things for him. ESPN is licensing Inside the NBA next season since TNT Sports lost its NBA broadcasting rights, which means Chuck will be at ESPN. And knowing the network, they want the best bang.
Oh, okay, I see what's going on. They say that TNT has lost their I guess deal with the NBA. So that's why he basically is going to ESPN. Okay, now I understand. I fully understand now. Okay, cool. So now we know, and knowing is half the battle, y'all.
For their buck and try to push Chuck onto other programs. But like we said, he's not interested. And he's made that pretty clear. He doesn't want to work. And to top it all off, he's not excited about sharing the spotlight with Stephen A. Smith or Kendrick Perkins. Mind you, he said Perkins can't tell the difference between a hole in the wall and his own booty hole. So fast.
Hold up, Brian. Hey, we gotta run that back. A hole in the wall, and she said his own booty hole. Check
And
it,
he's
bro.
made that pretty clear. He doesn't want to work. And to top it all off, he's not excited about sharing the spotlight with Stephen A. Smith or Kendrick Perkins. Mind you, he said Perkins can't tell the difference between a hole in the wall and his own booty hole. So fat chance of seeing these two share the screen. Safe to say, Chuck's a handful for ESPN. He's
One
been
more time, hold on, one more time. Oh, bro, that shit funny, bro. Bro, the AI shit sounds too funny when to be reading, bro.
He's not interested, and he's made that pretty clear. He doesn't
AI
and
is
to top
funny,
it all
bro.
off, he's not excited about sharing the spotlight with Stephen A. Smith or Kendrick Perkins. Mind you, he said Perkins can't tell the difference between a hole in the wall and his own booty hole. So fat chance of seeing these two share the screen. Safe to say, Chuck's a handful for ESPN. He's bending the rules,
This is crazy.
and he's getting away with it. And if there's one person who feels salty about that situation, it's Shannon Sharp. This is the same network that dropped him because of a lawsuit. So of course, he's feeling all types of ways about Chuck. In fact, get this. Word on the street is that he had some words for his coworker. But before Shannon goes all Karen on Chuck, he needs to realize that he and Chuck are not in the same shoes. First of all, he simply doesn't bring the same star power to the platform. According to the New York Times, ESPN might be paying Shannon Sharp the hefty sum of $6.5 million a year to argue with Stephen A. Smith 2 days a week on First Take, but he is not important enough for them to ride with him through a public back-and-forth civil suit with a woman barely old enough to legally drink. And it's not just about star power. See, Disney has always been about business, and to make sure they're not screwing themselves when they bring on new talent, they always include the morality clause in their contracts. A Disney morality clause is a contractual provision.
Contractual, basically, it's in the contract that it's certain things you can and can't do as a employee of Disney. So certain things you can't do, it's in your contract. It's called a morality clause.
Often found in talent contracts that allows Disney to terminate or take other actions against an employee or talent if their behavior is deemed to bring their brand into disrepute or otherwise damage its image. And the higher-ups don't mess around because they use vague language on purpose, like public disrepute, humiliation, or scandal. That gives them room to fire people like Shannon on a whim. To be fair, Shannon did mess up big time. Disney did not fire him on a whim. He's 56 years old and he was messing around with a 19-year-old. And let's not forget, he's been in the game for a long time now. Did no one on his team tell him to make the girl sign an NDA or something? You'd think he'd be making smart moves after that Instagram scandal last year when the entire internet found a seat in his bedroom. But no. And let's be real, Disney's not known for making screw-ups like these. So of course they took care of the problem, and it looks like they did it permanently too. According to one insider, he's possibly already banned from the network. Meanwhile, another source revealed there are reports circulating that Shannon Sharp's career at ESPN is over. I reached out to a source familiar with production at ESPN on this, who tells me he is still on First Take Mondays and Tuesdays. So any other day of the week Shannon is not on is just a scheduled day off. And it doesn't look like those insiders were messing around, because even Stephen A. Smith confirmed that he had a chat with the CEO of Disney, who was taking Sharp's scandal very seriously.
I can tell you, I also spoke with co-chairman of Disney, the boss,
Stephen Fetchit.
who made it.
Got your boy Stephen Fetchit. Stephen Stephen A. Stephen Fetchit looking at boy.
Very, very clear. We are taking this matter very seriously. And we are looking into this very, very closely.
Now, Shannon can hate the network for it, but to be fair, he wasn't making any friends at his workplace. He was literally accused of choking a female production assistant at Fox Sports before his $50 million legal nightmare.
Right.
According to one source, the incident went down during his...
Shannon love choking women, bro. What's up with Shannon and you choking women, bro? Bro, you too big, you too buff for that, bro. Like you too big for that, bro. I ain't choking women, dog.
time co-hosting the undisputed talk show between 2016 and 2023. And surprisingly, he wasn't fired for it. Instead, Sharp and Fox settled the accuser for several $100,000. Of course, a rep for Sharp shut down the allegations completely, saying there was no incident of choking involving Shannon on the FS1 set. On one occasion, he and a few colleagues were involved in some light physical interaction in a playful context. Fox Sports later chose to resolve the matter privately. For further details, we recommend contacting Fox directly, but fans know better than to believe the rep in these situations. Besides, it was shocking that Fox didn't fire Sharp for his transgressions on the spot, but that's just how the industry works. Honestly, Disney and ESPN could have decided to keep him on with his legal situation as well. But that would have created an uproar. In fact, former SportsCenter anchor Sage Steele...
Hey, y'all, this is a word to the wise, y'all. When y'all get in certain positions, man, always remember this. Every different level is a different devil. So I don't care how high you go, how low you go, you're going to have adversities. And at the end of the day, y'all, I'm just going to tell y'all, cover yourselves, man. It's best to pray before you walk into any situation, but just make sure you covered, bro, and watch how you moving out here, bro. Like some people, they want to move slightly wrong and then want to use God as a cloak, bro. God don't work like that, bro. He meets you halfway. So if you do the right thing, he'll help you in your right doing. But you can't be messing up like how Shannon was doing and then expect God to bless you on top of all that. It don't work like that, dog.
Had a lot of words about how the platform handled the situation before Sharp stepped away. She expressed her frustrations with the broken system on X, writing, "There's a long list of examples where ESPN or Disney considers having conservative viewpoints a much greater offense than questionable character." In response to a tweet that read, "ESPN did not re-up contracts to women with conservative views or silence them, while Shannon has had multiple questionable actions involving women." Just putting that out there. Former employee Ashley Brewer-Kaminsky chimed in as well, saying, "Never forget when I got chewed out by my boss for posting a pic of a Republican congressman and UFC fighter on my Instagram story at the McGregor fight. LOL FYI. The network has a strict policy about discussing politics on air." Steele was actually suspended for criticizing the company's COVID vaccine mandate. Compared to Shannon, that seems like a small reason to kick someone to the curb. So if Disney had decided to keep him otherwise, it would have probably led to a riot with ex-employees lining up with lawsuits over wrongful termination at their doorstep. So it really was...
So basically, what they gathering at the end, they basically saying that if they wouldn't have let Shannon go, they would have had lawsuits because people have been basically fired for less than what Shannon has actually did. So it looked like Shannon was doing some questionable things at Fox because he was able to, I guess they say he choked some lady or whatever at Fox, and they swept it under the rug. They gave the lady hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, I guess they swept that under the rug. But Fox is not under the umbrella of Disney. So Disney is a total different. Disney is over ESPN, ABC, a lot of stuff, bro.
Disney and ESPN's best interest to remove Shannon. But Barkley doesn't come with any of the problems. Yeah, he's giving the higher-ups a headache with talks of retirement and rebellion. But compared to Shannon, he's on good behavior. Shannon's dispensable, and he's not. That's why even Stephen A. Smith, the man who vouched for Shannon, was not surprised when Disney fired him. He said, "When the news came down that he and ESPN had mutually agreed that he would need to come off the airwaves of ESPN, it was a blow. A blow to the show, a blow to me personally, because I'm going to miss him, but it was not a surprise. He was working at Disney. I've been at Disney since October of 2003. I know this place. I know the worldwide leader that is ESPN. At the end of the day, Charles is bending the rules."
Hey, just remember, y'all, when y'all get these, that's why it's good to be independent, and that's why I'm doing my YouTube thing so I could build my channel and do it the way I want to do it. You know what I mean? I could be my own, source of media and, just engage with, you know what I mean, the whole world of media, you know what I'm saying, from my standpoint. But even in that, it's certain things I can't do on YouTube. I can't get buck naked on here, and, you know what I'm saying, I can't do that, bro. Like I say, it's rules and regulations, bro. It's guidelines to everything. So, I mean, basically, you just gotta follow the rules, dog. That's it.
To his wins,
Shit
and
easy,
he's
bro.
getting away
Follow
with
the fucking
it.
rules.
Shannon can be mad about it, but before he does something to embarrass himself big time, he needs to sit down and do some self-reflection, because he only got what he deserved. But what do you think? Does Shannon have the right to be mad? And is he going to take it out on the network or Charles? Let us know what you think in the comments section below, and make sure to check out this next video.
Alright, y'all, we're going to the next segment. Let's see what we finna pop into. I see a video about Adam 22. Let me see. Alright, y'all, they got a whole bunch of stuff about. This says Shannon Sharp off on his lawsuit, and people What's this? Something digital. This 2 hours ago though. Alright, this big ass news. We'll watch this one. See what's up with this joint. Big ass news. I ain't got premium, y'all. My bad. My bad. I do not have premium. So you will hear a commercial here or there.
Put me in the bed, and this resulted. Put me in bed, and this result a struggle. I had said no, and I said no, even though I was thinking that, and so it was the hardest. Yeah, this is too hard.
Now this lady right here, this lady right here, she has a lawsuit against Shannon. They actually had like a 10-year relationship, and basically she's suing him. She did her lawsuit was way before the Gabriella Zuniga, the young girl. So, and this lady is of age. She's an older woman. Yeah.
So it looked like they do a jump cut. Look at she couldn't fully tell the story because she's either been emotional or kind of like traumatically triggered by some of the details. Okay.
A struggle. I had said no, and I said no, even though I was thinking that, and so it was the hardest. Yeah, this is too hard.
Just like this is too
I
hard.
remember he got dressed, and he knew what he did, and so, I just kind of escorted him out the door, and then I wasn't going to do anything about it. Sometimes when you're with the person for a long time, it's hard for you to realize that they're being a perpetrator, even though you know it, you don't want to admit it, and there's so much going through your mind.
Y'all, let's find something else. This is just too slow for me. I'm gonna find something fast.
If I tell anybody, he'll use everybody he knows to destroy me, which he basically has. And then he started making other threats. That's against my life. That's, he was so worried that it would get out, and I wasn't going to do anything. But when he kept calling me at work, when he kept, just very aggressively behaving, and I could see it wasn't going to go away, and he said he was going to destroy me, and he was going to kill me, and told me he was watching me, and all this. I just went and got a protective order. I'd had enough. And unfortunately, shortly after, he doxed me, and my address got out, and I had somebody stop by my apartment.
Oh yeah, word to the wise. Don't dox nobody, y'all. Please don't dox nobody, bro. That can get somebody seriously hurt out here. When you put somebody information out on the internet, and just say something happens to them, you could be held reliable for them getting hurt because you put their information out here. That like people get swatted. People that have got swatted before have got actually killed by the police because the police pop up at their house. And I'm from America, bro. Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Where you from? What country you from? I don't know. They watching one going on right now. I don't know. That's 14 hours ago. Let's see what they're talking about, y'all.
spring is here, and you know what that means. No urgency. No, it's spring saving stampede havoc. The next place forward.
My bad, y'all.
Cassie told the jury that the freak-offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless.
Well, today they got today in the courtroom they got text messages of her basically saying, damn. Okay, what's up? What's up? Salute. Well, they saying they had Cassie read text messages like basically she in there talking about she was liking the F-offs. So, hey bro. Say bro.
She did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest.
This is crazy, bro. Like, how you have sex for 4 days straight, bro? Like, this is just weird activity, dog.
Learn a lot about the nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy.
Cassie Ventura just named Christina Korn as keeping tabs on her for Diddy.
The second thing that was discussed this morning, will the media be able to see video of these freak-offs?
Day 2 of Diddy's courtroom chaos just wrapped up, and Cassie's testimony left the entire room stunned. She revealed that Diddy didn't just control her life. He used escorts in the most humiliating way possible. One of the darkest claims, Diddy allegedly made escorts pee on her. Yeah, it's that twisted, but it gets even more disturbing.
2 witnesses were called today, including a former security officer at the hotel, where Diddy is seen on video attacking Ventura brutally. You remember that video back in 2016. The prosecutors played the video. The witness testified that Diddy tried to pay him off with a giant wad of cash. The day's second witness was a male escort. This is where it really got very juicy. Who says that he was paid by Diddy numerous times to have sex with Cassie while Diddy sat there in the corner.
If y'all, anybody who in there, whoever watching, man, with any one of y'all, I'm talking about male or female, would y'all pay money to watch somebody else do it to your girlfriend or significant other?
And watched. He says he once saw Diddy throw a liquor bottle at Cassie and heard him beating her in another room.
The same escort was called in by prosecutors to testify, and they didn't hold back. On top of that, hotel staff are finally cracking, admitting that Diddy straight up paid them to keep their mouths shut. The whole thing sounds like a disgusting underground operation happening in plain sight.
Emily Johnson actually said that Cassie did choke on the urine of an escort when Diddy forced this escort to allege.
That's disgusting. She choking on urine. Then they said she had UTIs. Damn, that's disgusting, bro.
Urinate in her mouth. They did say inner circle numerous times, I believe, really trying to amplify the RICO charges. Diddy couldn't have done all of these crimes without his inner circle, right? Without his bodyguard, without his driver, without his assistant. They talked about alleged kidnappings. That one time, he kidnapped his assistant to go and try to find Cassie when he thought Cassie was cheating. I mean, it was wild. I feel like I could go on forever, but I won't. At a certain point, wasn't able to perform for Diddy and Cassie. He got erectile dysfunction because of what he saw. He said he saw Diddy at one point after an encounter drag Cassie by the hair from her computer seat all the way back to her bedroom while she was kicking and screaming and crying. And after she apologized and...
Bro, that's like... I mean, it's toxic, but they was together for 9 years, so I wonder how long was he treating her like this? Was he treating her like this from the first day? Or was he doing this in the middle of their relationship to the end? Because 9 years is a long time. That's almost like 10 years.
Came out, he said that Diddy said, okay, you guys want to continue.
and he couldn't perform. And that was it. From there, he could not perform after that. And he saw Diddy use Cassie 2 or 3 more times after that as well. And this is a muscular guy. He was 41 years old, a bit smaller, but again, he seemed incredibly affected by what he saw.
And was there, just quickly, Lauren, was there a point where he talked about, because I was trying to follow the vlogs, and it's hard, you were in there, it's difficult for us on the outside. Did he talk about Cassie at one point being under the influence of drugs to the point that she was slumped over, and did he still wanted him to have sex with her?
And here's the part that broke everyone.
Damn.
Cassie burst into tears during her statement.
They said basically, they said she was slumped. They said she couldn't even move. And Diddy still wanted to do something with her. That's disgusting work, bro. That's nasty work, bro. Very nasty work.
She said hit hard, and then people in the courtroom could barely look her in the eyes.
Cassie told the jury that Diddy forced her into drug-fueled sex acts with male escorts while he watched, sometimes sitting in the corner in that cave. Through tears, she said she took drugs to numb herself, ecstasy, pain, and ketamine, all of it allegedly supplied by Diddy. She said the freak-offs included as many as 4 male escorts at once, and typically lasted 36 to 72 hours. The longest, she said, the longest freak-off that she said she was forced to perform in lasted 4 days.
Damn.
She said they took place around the world, from New York to Miami to Spain, to even Turks and Caicos.
Damn.
And every stop, Cassie said the hotel rooms were stocked by Diddy's staff with baby oil, condoms, and drugs. And she says that
baby oil is hey, baby oil done got a bad name and put in the when P. Diddy Costco had to come out and say we don't even sell baby oil. Costco came out and made a statement, bro, we don't sell baby oil here.
these hotel rooms, this is disgusting, the hotel rooms were left covered in baby oil and covered in blood and covered in urine.
Damn.
Cassie told the jury that the freak-offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless. But she said...
But they have text today that she read out in court where it says, because this is, what, 14 hours, so they don't, this ain't really recapping what happened today in court. So today in court, they had Cassie laughing on the stand. They had her reading text messages. Some of the text messages, she was saying she liked the freak offs. So
she couldn't say no because she says, did he threaten to release videos of the freak offs with her?
You've always loved me.
my bad, y'all. Commercial break.
You could say, handmade.
Meanwhile, the escort dropped chilling details about what Diddy expected them to do. Things so disturbing, even the escort refused. That says a lot. But this isn't just about Diddy. Prosecutors claim he had a whole team helping him hide the truth. His chief of staff, his bodyguards, they were all allegedly involved in keeping this nightmare under wraps.
Before they broke.
Hey, bro, they say Diddy can't get that dye in his hair, so it's all great. They say Diddy and that looking like Uncle Ben, y'all. Looking like when he get out of jail, he gonna be the mascot for a rice company.
The line. Cassie Ventura described how freak-offs actually became a job, lasting 36 to 48 hours, the longest one lasting up to 4 days. No wonder the participants needed IV fluids after a freak-off. I'm just curious, at the courthouse, how was the jury responding?
What I will say is Cassie made a point to say that when she wasn't making music, she was actually having to, quote, recover from these freak-offs. And again, she did say these freak-offs lasted between...
I think Cassie, if she would have came through and would have been maybe with somebody else in the industry, I think she probably would have had a bigger career. She might have been as big as Beyonce. Might. But shit, the whole time she was with Diddy, she spent half the time getting peed on, I guess. I don't
1 and 4
know what to
days,
say,
and it will
dog.
take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest, to detox from these drugs.
At one point, Diddy even tried to kidnap Cassie when she tried to run. Diddy didn't seem to care at all about Cassie's well-being, and what she revealed in court is beyond disturbing.
That she said on the stand, at one point she said that a male escort had urinated in her mouth and she actually choked on it.
Oh.
It was at that point someone in the courtroom asked him to walk out of the door there while Diddy sat at the defense table listening on here. But as she was describing these events where she said that there were multiple male escorts that were happening at one time, these freak-offs would happen for 2, 3, the longest 4 days at a
4
time.
days.
And control is the word.
Bro, how you get that horny, bro? I'm just saying, bro, like, I ain't trying to get too graphic, but I mean, when I do my thing, I'm liking, maybe once, twice, climax, you know what I'm saying? And I'm done, bro. Like 4 days. 4 days is, bro, you're a big dick deviant. That's what you are, sir.
And you heard Cassie describe how every action during these freak-offs, which were between her and male escorts, not necessarily between her and her boyfriend, Sean Diddy Combs. He sat off to the side, really directing things according to her and mapping along with what he wanted to see. But he was in control, she said, of exactly how they did everything, from the platform shoes that she needed to wear, the clothes that she needed to wear occasionally, masks, wigs, whether or not the male escort could ejaculate, where he could ejaculate. Everything she said was controlled by him. And mind you, Brian, his children, 6 children, are in the courtroom at this point listening to all of this. And the jury was picked knowing that they needed a certain level of comfort to hear these types of descriptions. It was very emotional and really tough to hear, Brian.
She said that whenever she refused to join his wild freak-off sessions, he'd allegedly beat her down, drag her across the floor, and straight up punch her. No remorse, no mercy. These so-called freak-offs.
But it's crazy because today she said in the text message, she said she liked it.
These weren't just one-night things. They allegedly lasted for days. And Cassie, she was so drained she had to be hooked up to IV fluids just to recover. It's insane.
Once he saw Diddy beat Cassie, he could no longer, perform and be engaged, because before he said even if they hadn't paid him, he was excited to be part of their world. He was enjoying that kind of activity with them. And then things started changing when he saw one time he was on the couch, Cassie was at her computer, and Diddy, he said, was in Cassie's bedroom. Now, Diddy apparently called out to Cassie to come into the bedroom, and she allegedly told him, just hold on a second, my personal information's on the computer. Now, Daniel describes being absolutely shocked when all of a sudden a liquor bottle, Diddy throws it from across the room right toward Cassie, and then he comes running towards her, grabs her by her hair, drags her into her bedroom, and tells her, when I tell you to come, you don't wait, you just come when I tell you. And he says he then heard, after the doors closed, Diddy slapping her, beating her, yelling at her, and Cassie screaming out, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And he says he was just kind of frozen in place. He didn't know what to do. And prosecutors asked him, why didn't you intervene? Why didn't you go inside? And he said, look, I know this is somebody with a lot of resources. Quite frankly, I was afraid for my life. Now that drew a lot of objections from the defense, but the judge allowed that testimony. And he again reiterated that he was scared in that moment.
Introducing Canopy by Armstrong World Industries, your online ceiling and wall products marketplace. You can customize your space with a wide range of edge styles, colors, textures, and performance features, ensuring your ceiling reflects your unique style and meets the requirements of your area. With just a few clicks, you can order online, and within days, your ceiling solution will be delivered to your project. No hassle, no fuss. Installs easily with the help of a professional. Start your ceiling transformation today by shopping online with Canopy by Armstrong World Industries.
Now we about to listen to ABC News to see what the hell they got to say about this.
It's day one of the celebrity trial gripping much of the nation.
Oh, this day one.
Sean Diddy Combs, once one of entertainment's most
It's saying
powerful
40
roles,
minutes to update
accused
it.
of crime so heinous, faces the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. He's denied all charges. And just a warning, this story contains accounts, descriptions, and visual content of actual or alleged events that some may find disturbing.
That shit's packed, bro.
Can't talk about the case at all.
All eyes are on this New York City court.
Brian still went
As the
from
federal trial for disgraceful.
Brian still went from Young Thug to P. Diddy. And if he get P. Diddy off, bro, Brian still gonna be, his stock gonna be up. Like, up. I don't know if y'all know, I got this information, well, I heard it from Ticket TV. They said today that Tony Busby won a wrongful death suit for over $600 and some million. So basically, like Ticket was saying, these little cases with Deshaun Watson and Diddy and all of them, that ain't really where he getting his money from. This man got a settlement today for $600 million, bro.
Will Sean Diddy Combs begin?
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs goes on trial today. Combs is inside the courtroom along with those prospective jurors. He faces multiple charges, including racketeering and sex trafficking.
The musician famous for hits like Bad Boy for Life. Ain't Can't Nobody Hold Me Down. Charged with sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, and racketeering and conspiracy, the 55-year-old has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Today was a monumental day when we're talking about Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy. At one point, you also had the actual key to New York City. So to see him today facing trial on federal...
This man had the key to the city and they took the key back. They said, hey, bro, take that off your key ring. He had to slide the key to the city off his key ring and give it back to the city of New York, bro.
Criminal charges is completely a downfall of who Puff Daddy, who Sean Combs was.
Prosecutors allege he used his power to force women into prolonged drug-fueled orgies he called freak-offs, and then threatened them into silence.
The freak-offs, according to prosecutors, were these sex marathons. Some of them lasted days, and they were fueled by ecstasy or other party drugs. And women were not allowed to leave.
Highly anticipated at the trial, the testimony of Cassandra Ventura, the singer better known as Cassie, is at the center of this now infamous video. The disturbing scene appears to show Combs chasing her down a hotel hallway in 2016, knocking her down and kicking her. The first evidence shown to jurors today, videos and photos from that violent encounter.
Everyone was leaning in and focusing and watching this video. Literally, you can hear a pin drop in that courtroom.
A security guard who came into the scene in the aftermath of that attack testified that Diddy had a devilish stare, and Cassie had a purple eye. Another witness alleging he was paid to have sex with Cassie while Diddy watched, and told to urinate on Cassie.
You heard so much about sex during the prosecution's opening, the defense opening. You heard about oral sex. You heard about missionary style. You heard about baby oil being put on people's body. You heard so much. This is not a case for the proof.
Cassie and Diddy were in a romantic relationship for almost a decade, releasing hits like Me and You.
Hold on, I don't think I can play that.
Helping spur the federal criminal investigation into the mogul. Diddy has denied these allegations, settled that suit without admission of wrongdoing. Diddy's mother and children arriving to court this morning to support him, along with Combs' spokesperson.
Obviously, it's like a horrific time for the family, so we're just trying to hold steady in their faith and make sure that they take care of each other.
How was the testimony?
Upbeat. I think, obviously this is a huge deal, and so he's just ready to have his side told in the court.
Inside the courtroom today, Diddy smiling and blowing kisses to his family.
He's very observant as to what's going on in the courtroom, and he's taken part in his defense.
Both sides delivered their opening statements, making their case. The all-female prosecution team saying that Combs used a trusted inner circle to commit crime after crime, including kidnapping, arson, and sex crimes. Prosecutor Emily Johnson saying, this is Sean Combs. To the public he was Puff Daddy, or Diddy, a cultural icon, a businessman larger than life. But there was another side to him, a side that ran a criminal enterprise.
The prosecution is alleging that it was his inner circle that enabled him to be able to engage in these acts, but also hide these acts from the public and for it to go on for so long.
At least 3 alleged victims of Diddy are expected to testify, including Cassie, and a woman prosecutors are referring to as Jane. During opening arguments, prosecutors alleged that Diddy forced the women to participate in so-called freak-offs and instructed Cassie and Jane how to look, to dress in lingerie, wear tall platform high heels, and have manicured white nails. Diddy's defense arguing the sexual relationships were consensual and not coerced, saying the rapper lived a swinger's lifestyle.
The defense wants to say that these women are all adults. They're all consenting and willing participants in these freak-offs.
Defense attorney Tammy Garrido saying in her opening statement that may not be what you like to do in your bedroom, but you're not here to judge him for his sexual preferences. She later added, being a willing participant in your own sex life is not sex trafficking. That disturbing video was also part of the defense's opening arguments, plainly saying it was an instance of domestic violence.
Horrible, bro. What he did to Cassie, though, dog,
domestic violence is not sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the fairest of the argument. Domestic violence is not what they got him in here for. They got this man in here for. Now, he should go to jail for kicking that lady in the head, but at this point, he's paid the woman. He paid off for, her being, done wrong or whatever. But, yeah, just to be honest with you, man, like, I mean, I feel like legally he should have to do something behind beating on this woman, even though he's still paying her. But this is like, it's domestic violence. That's at the most, it's a state case. I don't know if they got misdemeanor domestic violence or whatever, but at the most, this is a state case. And by it being a state case, they bringing a federal RICO on him, and it's like, I honestly think he might get off, bro. Like this, it ain't looking good, dog.
Had he been charged with domestic violence, had he been charged with assault, we would not be here right now.
It ain't looking good for the prosecution, I can say that. It's not looking good for the prosecution.
And said that Sean Combs may be a lot of things. He may have committed domestic violence, but those aren't the crimes the defense said that he's charged with. So in effect, the argument is he's a criminal, just not the kind of criminal they say he is.
The first testimony of the trial taking jurors to Los Angeles, March 2016, the hotel where that surveillance video was taken. The first witness, an LAPD officer who worked security at the hotel, he says he responded to a call for a woman in distress on the 6th floor.
When he got to the floor, he noticed that there was glass on the floor, that the vase and the flowers were broken.
The security guard described going back to Diddy's hotel room and standing in the doorway while Ventura grabbed her things. Inside, another man sitting at the corner of the bed.
So from the very start, the first witness brings the jury into that hallway where he said Sean Combs looked at him with a devilish stare and Cassie Ventura had a purple eye.
Sean Combs tried to offer him money, to give him money to make this go away. And he said he wouldn't accept the money.
Bro, he already did what he did. He went away and took the money, bro.
Man who said he was paid
because it wasn't going to go away anyway.
On multiple occasions at several high-end New York City hotels while Diddy watched. The witness said he was paid between $700 and $6,000 each time.
So Mr. Phillip agreed to go to the Gramercy Hotel
to do a performance for a bachelorette party. At least that's what he thought.
All right, y'all. We're gonna switch.
Hotel
We're gonna switch. We freestyling out here. Academics. We doing academic shit right now.
Into submission, tenderize it. One after the other. She got a UTI. She is in pain. God knows what else other, I think they did do a good job of, having some type of respect for maybe even other health ailments. Because if you think that a UTI is the only thing they caught up in a freak-off, you're sadly mistaken. Remember, we have a prostitute who claims he contracted the herpes virus, and he claims it was during the freak-off.
And this is crazy because that man, Jonathan Audio, whatever, he basically sued Diddy because he caught the H doing one of these freak-offs. I think they say he had to sign an NDA, but I think he did. He settled for $5 million.
One and one together. And if you get 11, that's on you. But if you get 2, you know what we're talking about. So, Cassie was, in her opinion, was forced to perform no matter what was going on. UTI, yeast infection, breakouts, whatever the fuck may have been the situation.
That's crazy. That's nasty work, bro.
And Diddy would have nigga after nigga after nigga. And at times, they said Diddy would say, they said, you can't send a boy to go do a man's job. They said, Diddy would say, man, get out that pussy. It's my turn. It's my turn now. Let's get there. It's my turn. And he gonna fuck her for a bit. And then sometimes, apparently, he be on some extra freaky shit. He'd put a camera there and go watch it from the next room. You know what he was probably doing. He want to look at the man, not the woman. But all of these things supposedly exist, and this is why when we talk about, someone says it's probably better reading it. Yeah, we get to do Sports Center shit here, right? Like when I'm here, I get to do Sports Center shit. But if we could watch it, especially if we could see the faces of those people, we ain't got to see the sex. If you see Cassie with a fucking football-sized gaping hole after a 4-day-long, 24/7 freak off just ended.
That sounds horrible. I pray for Cassie, man. I pray for Cassie, bro. And to go through this, like all this time and all this, like this is crazy, bro. Like this is some wild work right here, dog. It's crazy, yo. You dig? It's crazy. You dig?
You might be like, damn, hold it. Then the judge says we're going to take a recess. I guarantee that recess is because, I keep telling you, they're objecting to everything. The AUSA feels like these lawyers are trying to ambush Cassie and ambush their case.
They're not trying to ambush it, but
Diddy has 9 lawyers, access to all the paralegals, and they came prepared. They came with 400 new shit today that they got from added on from yesterday. You know what Diddy's lawyers are saying to the AUSA? It's not like we went out and got this independently. You gave us this in discovery. You gave us, remember how voluminous the discovery was. Terabytes on terabytes of data. From security footage to not only that, but also gigabytes and gigabytes of just text messages. So there's a lot of text messages that won't get used. But now, what they're going to do is, they're going to go back and be like, oh, she did say this on stand yesterday. Let's go find a message that correlates and it actually goes against what she just said. We're going to ask her.
That's what they did.
So they're going to come in every day.
That's exactly what they did.
And I think the judges said, hey, listen, could you not show up every morning with like a bunch of new shit? They're telling the judge, how can we not?
They trying to save the man life.
We're reacting to what was said yesterday.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
gotta,
like we're
you gotta
bringing
do
some
what you
new
gotta
shit
do,
that
bro.
is just going to be us making our case. We're reacting to this witness and what they said. Now, granted, they shouldn't do it again for tomorrow, because tomorrow, whatever you had going into today, you should have for whatever the rest of the time she's on the stand. If they do it for tomorrow, the judge is going to scold it, I think. So they're taking a break. They're taking a break here. They're taking a break. Here we go. Bring it before and defend.
So long, I'm here to answer your call.
Ladies and gentlemen, if nobody, if you don't got no real friends, if you do a performance like this and they don't whisper to you, bitch, you don't got no goddamn talent. He only had you around for free calls. This was grand opening, grand closing. I think Diddy at this point, you know Diddy's hard on niggas. Look how that nigga was on making a bed. If she was still around, you know it was on the sexual break.
So long, I'm here to answer your call.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Princess next selection. Make some noise. Cassie, come on. Damn. Diddy, Cassie, everyone makes mistakes. 106 part. You find that video? Let's try to find a YouTube video. She claims they uploaded a video to YouTube explaining the performance. Probably gonna find it. It'll have to be 10 years or more. Wow, there's so much fucking coverage of this shit. In a YouTube video, he said everybody makes mistakes. What was wrong? I couldn't hear myself. Estavo says, you were dating Mr. Leslie. You just saw Ryan Leslie, by the way. How much older than you was he? 10 years. Then he traveled to Miami with Mr. Combs. The flyer of the event was just a cover. But you went to spend time with Mr. Combs, right? That's true. Now, if you don't know the story, Ken, Diddy finessed this woman away from Ryan Leslie by making up a fake event in Miami that required her to go with him. But Ryan Leslie wasn't either allowed to come or he couldn't come.
So check it, y'all. Ryan Leslie, I've actually worked with some of Ryan Leslie's tracks. I got songs I did years ago, 2012 with Ryan Leslie tracks. You dig? Yeah, I'm well versed with Ryan.
Diddy went to Miami.
He went to Harvard too.
He spent time with her, and then
Very smart guy.
And then she lived on Ryan Leslie. Estavo says, you had a tattoo of Mr. Leslie's initials on your body, right? It says yes. He says, how many tattoos did you have then? And you would say it says relatives. The judge says overruled, let's keep it moving. She said 3. Estavo says the one on your arm, and the answer was no regrets. I didn't know she had Ryan Leslie's name tatted. It's a Diddy fake event, Cassie, Miami. I don't know if you ever heard the story. Oh man, everybody's covering this. It's actually in Tiffany Red Rolling Stones article. Can I read the whole thing? Oh, I don't know this stuff. There's actually a story about how Diddy got her. How Diddy stole Cassie Ryan Leslie. Here.
Hey, you know this video to this club, and he meets this girl named Cassie. As soon as you see her, he goes, yeah, my boy Ryan. I said, we'll have more opportunities. Here he goes, bro. Ryan in the studio, man. He got to pick up. He says that Ryan will make it all to himself.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. Diddy definitely a cold one, bro. Diddy's a cold nigga.
I'm just saying, the love triangle between you and Cassie is really good. You think that?
Did it ruin my momentum? Well, I mean, in terms of what? In terms of this in music?
Yeah, music.
Nah, I think it actually was great for my momentum. I mean, some of the best songs that I ever wrote had to do with that breakup. You know, so whether it's, people's favorite songs like Out of the Blue or any of the records that are on that second album or even Diamond Girl, a lot of those songs, I mean, really the story behind Diamond Girl was we were working on Cassie's second album in LA, and because of whatever was going on personally in her life, she didn't show up at the studio that day. I had that beat ready to go. She didn't show up at the studio. I recorded Diamond Girl. So I think that from a music standpoint, the greatest music is always born out of whatever you're going through.
Mary J. Blige, Tom Jackson. Who the guy behind her success, him being in the middle of that and being with her, kind of just as y'all.
Once again, I say, look, your life is the aggregate of the choices you make. And so, listen, I think that the fans sometimes being sort of just an audience, they're spectators, and they have an idea of
You have now entered the dusty section.
Welcome to Chicago. It's me.
You have now entered the dusty section.
Someone who gave me an opportunity. When a story or a narrative is not for me, and once it was no longer for me, then there were other narratives and stories for me to invest my time, energy, and resources into. So from even me being in Harvard, that's actually how I met.
I told you.
Yeah, she
went to Harvard.
She wrote that. She wrote in the lawsuit that's what happened. She did. Anyway, let's keep going. I didn't know she had a tattoo of Ryan Leslie on her body, though. Gustavo says, Mr. Combs taught you how to do oral sex. See, by the way, this is why you need a female defense attorney. A dude asking this would probably come off creepy. She's pregnant. Her husband's in the room. She's already uncomfortable talking about some of these things. You gotta have a right? So they say Mr. Combs taught you how to get head, right? She says he did.
Brian Steele, when he came in, he told them, he said, y'all got to get some female lawyers in here because some of these, how we going to get to this, how we going to get this win? You can't get this win, especially talking to Cassie with no men. She's already pregnant. You're going to get on the stand. You're going to basically just badger her as a witness, as the star witness. You're going to badger her while she's pregnant. You need to have a woman do it. And that's how, even today in court, the lady that was the defense attorney had Cassie laughing on the stand, bro. That right there, that might do some shit that really might help your boy get free, dog. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It says, look at this. Tell me when you're ready. Could you read it? Ventura says, you can read it. It's making me laugh. It's from 2007. Gustavo says, you wrote, I feel protected. You are sweet. There's another thing, like, yo, you wrote, I see Carrie is a better I'm hurt and think I'm malicious. You're very important to me. X. Caps. Ventura laughed. Gustavo says, what were you trying to convey? and she says it was like a journal entry. I'm gonna be honest with you. What they're laying out here, they're doing it very slow and very meticulous, but it's probably effective. And remember, you know, one thing with jurors is that whatever we hear last is gonna be stuck in our minds, or not in our minds, I'm not a jury, but for jurors, they've ran studies, they've admitted that what they hear last gets stuck in their minds. So for a long trial, you don't want to just front load it with the important stuff, you want to backload it. Because this is why they have opening and closing statements, right? So now we're here and we heard this idea where Cassie was kind of almost admitting or saying like, yeah, he kind of groomed me. Like he groomed me for freak offs. Now granted, I hate the word groom just because it's a grown ass woman, but still, they're kind of like deconstructing it. They're like, whoa, you wanted to do these things. Like it feels like you wanted to do these things to be with him rather than he was trying to make you do everything else. I'm gonna have a sidebar real quick. All right, I just only went there to hear what he had to say about Tori, so we're gonna get back to the Cassie conversation, and here we are. Estavo says, you discussed Kerry Morgan. Do you think Combs is attracted to her? Now, okay, so remember Kerry Morgan is another woman, Kerry Morgan, and Cassie 2004. So that was supposedly Cassie's friend, which this woman looked like she was a blonde woman that they were friends with. She was friends with. This is them together here, right? Now, this makes sense when we go back to the last two, when it says, look at this, tell me you're right, can you read it? She said, you can read it, make me laugh. It says, you would have to protect your suite. And then it said, you wrote that, I see that Kerry is better fit for you. I've heard you think I'm malicious, you're very important. She claims it was a journal entry, but I think what the prosecutors are saying is that possibly Cassie wanted Diddy so bad, and I'm making a leap here. Maybe she offered up her best friend for maybe a threesome or a freak off to try to get Diddy to fuck with her more. Women will do that, like not necessarily a friend, but oh, they're doing a threesome to get you to love them more, right? So she's messaging him saying, I think Kerry, like maybe she's joking or trolling, or maybe something happened, or they were around each other, maybe not in a sexual setting. And she probably seen Diddy flirting with her, and it was like, and she's kind of like, yo, I think maybe Kerry's a good better fit, right? And it's like, I'm hurt and think I'm malicious. Maybe it was a conversation they were having, and Diddy keeps laughing. You know, women, one thing I've learned as a man in my 30 years on Earth, and I'm 30 today, chat. That's what, 2 days ago, I'm 30. One thing I've learned is that when your girls bring her girlfriends around, don't be too friendly. Same with women, like when we bring around our niggas, wait, hold on, that nigga ain't that funny. Why you laughing at jokes? Keep it light. So maybe Diddy was engaging with Kerry a little bit too much. That's her friend. And she kind of writes to Diddy, yo, Kerry might be a better fit for you, right? And maybe they were talking about something, and she was like, I'm hurt, you think I'm malicious, you're very important, right? They're asking her, what are you trying to convey? And she says, it's kind of like a journal entry. Then it continues by saying, you discussed Kerry Morgan, you think Combs is attracted to her. She says, and she's affirming what I just pretty much assumed, there was a point in the very beginning. Gustavo says, did that complication carry on in your relationship? Ventura says, no, not really. Kerry was just always with us. Interesting. Yeah, this is Kerry. This is Cassie. Okay, little blonde girl. By the way, thank you for whoever this is putting the picture out of me having to go find it. Okay. Then, Estavo says, I'd like to start asking about freak-offs. Sometimes you wore a wig and a mask, right? She said yes. Estavo says, the general public did not know. And USA Johnson says, objection. Johnson rephrase. He says, no one knew until 2023 in the public. She says yes. Let's see where they're going with this. Things are heating up, chat. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to go like in an hour or so. Oh my God. Nah, today is the day. Today is the day, chat. So as the actor's doing a loose cannon, yo, why y'all keep saying I'm almost 40? Stop. When I turn 40, I'm a bang 40 now. Okay? But nah, we back at 30. Oh man. Alright, yo, we're just waiting for another did Cassie ever talk about Kerry Morgan? Cassie Kerry Morgan. Here we go. Oh, here we go.
I have done multiple interviews, as I should,
Hitting you with the force and the power that you have. He didn't hit her back right. And granted, you know what I'm saying? When I was a younger guy, 17, 18, and got hit, yeah, you might hit back.
watching that video.
They broke up in 28. So if you look at the situation of this girl leaving and what happened to her,
yeah,
he deserved whatever comes to him.
By the way, you know what I was shocked about? And I didn't see it in the recommended after watching the video. Apparently, like, they never got into Diddy, number one, having so much. If you're going to try to say sex trafficking, you want to prove she's helpless and she couldn't do anything and Diddy had all the control. I mean, they didn't really all the way accentuate the idea that she goes to the hospital, she gets treated for injury. They don't even give her the medical report. They give Diddy first. That's how much power and control he had. Diddy had her get breast implants. Day after she gets breast implants, Diddy literally says, take him out before she even heals because he didn't like how they look. The decision was solely his, not hers. I'm surprised that the prosecutor didn't get into that. Like, that shows power, right? Like, if you're trying to say someone has this fully autonomous power over someone else, if you're like, get under the knife to get breast implants to make me like you more. She gets the breast implants, you come in, you see and say, nah, take them out now. And it's not even her decision. That would be very important. That's great. It was a direct kind of shock.
For that. And this was 2016. They broke up in 2018.
Right.
That's his first thing. It's been times where people got beat up in front of the studio, and he's gonna get that footage from the studio building. He got a studio in there, but he doesn't own the building.
Yeah.
So in order to get that footage, you gotta have connections with the owner of the building. Anything that happens that's wrong, you're gonna reach out there and try to get that footage.
So they've been broke up since 2018, so we in 2025. That's 8 years. So that means in an 8-year period, she was able to come back and get, after talking to him and everything not going right, after an 8-year period, she was able to come back and still get tens of millions of dollars. That's wild.
So when they said that he got the footage, I believed in the lawsuit. She said, but what he didn't know was that, like, okay, you could at least let me know you was going to use my name or something like that. So she has a friend named Kerry Morgan. And I reached out to Kerry, like, yo, tell Cassie to get at me. And even Kerry hit me back and said, Bonds, I haven't spoken to Cassie since 2018. And I said, you haven't spoken to Cassie since 2018? She said, no, not ever since Diddy went upside my head with a hanger and gave me a concussion. And I said, Diddy did what? She said, yeah, in 2018, he threw a wooden hanger at me and Cassie didn't have my back. And I haven't spoken to her since then. So when you when I read the
so this on Vlad. We don't know if this true or not. All this shit is alleged, bro. We don't know, bro. This is all this alleged money. We trying to figure this shit out, dog. That's what we trying to do right now.
Okay. So that's the story of Kerry Morgan. Her friendship with Cassie ended ever since there was a hanger thrown at Kerry Morgan and it hit her. And I guess she's like, yo, what the fuck? And Cassie didn't check Diddy like, yo, what you doing? That's my best friend. Like, well, why you trying to hurt her? Now, granted, you could probably say Cassie was scared of Diddy herself. Interesting.
Bro, this whole
All
shit
right,
is
we'll see
crazy,
what the
bro.
next
This
week.
whole thing is just...
We probably got about like 30 minutes before they break for lunch. I really think this is the tip of the iceberg. I don't believe we're going to get into even half of the complete cross today. I think this is all laying the foundation. And I think this entire day going to be laying the foundation. We're going to hear some shit, but it's laying the foundation. I think tomorrow they're going to come, and I hate to use the word, but they're going to come in cream pie, okay? I hate to use that term, but you can tell this is very slow, but they're making it all be known. Now, I'm wondering why would they bring up Kerry Morgan? I'm wondering why. Well, it appears that they would, though, because they said, I guess they were, you know what they're trying to do? They're also downplaying that Diddy, they're downplaying like, yeah, they were in a relationship, but Diddy really, the relationship was sex. Diddy liked her friend in the beginning. I don't know, like, I wonder why the Kerry Morgan thing is. I don't know if they're trying to downplay it to make her look less, she thought it was something it wasn't. I don't know. Okay. Stop with it. Says, fair to say his career was ruined after the lawsuit. And I guess they're talking about Diddy. She said, I could understand that. Stavo says, let's read these messages. Mr. Combs wrote, when are you on your period? She says, no, now. And Stavo says, what you be thinking about when you're horny? Now, this is gonna, maybe they're trying to recount this idea that she testified on direct about her being forced to do freak offs while on a menstrual cycle. Remember, she said there was no exception where she would be absent to the freak off for shit, whether it's a UTI, menstrual cycle, or anything else, or even like sometimes feeling under the weather. She had to perform at the freak offs no matter what state she was in. Very interesting, Jack. Very interesting. Oh boy. She was a saucy little spice bucket. What are you talking about? Yeah, they're flooding via messages. Diddy and her flooding via messages, Jack. The style was Miss Ventura. If you don't want to read the answers, I can read them. So it looked like, this is important. It looks like Cassie's slowing up on reading certain things because if they want to do almost role play, I'm reading for Diddy, you read for Cassie. You read for you. She's Cassie, right? I read for Sean, you read for yourself. We're reading old messages. By the way, Cassie did this with no problem when the AUSA did it with her. Remember? She did it with no problem. Now when Diddy's lawyers are trying to do the same with her, she's having a problem. She says, Ventura says, thank you. So I guess she's saying they agree. It says, okay. He says the O has a lot of O's after them. A lot of O's after them, right? She says, yes. He said, after a freak off, you make love with Mr. Combs, right? She says, yes. So apparently after freak off, she would have this one-on-one sexual experience with Diddy. And maybe that was what she was talking about, spending time with him. I wonder how she felt that they could love to a nigga that you rub semen on his nipples. The nigga had semen crust on his fucking nipples.
Dang. This is crazy. I don't know if y'all heard what happened. Well, this came out not yesterday, but day before, because we on Friday right now. This day before yesterday. Some things came out, nasty information about what she would do in some of these freak offs and go and, give Diddy some of these fluids and put it on them and all of this, and it's just weird, bro. Like, bro, I just want to just go in the bedroom, do what I need to do, and go to sleep, bro. All that, like, this is just too much, bro. You gotta have money to even have to have this kind of interactions with you. You gotta have money to do that, bro. You can't be no broke motherfucker doing this shit here, bro. This is what? Come on, bro. This is horrible.
Huh?
It's horrible.
Whatever.
Horrible.
Love is a powerful thing. It makes you do a lot of bullshit. And that's about Kerry Morgan. By the way, this is this other thing.
It was basically inside a club.
Yes. Describe that whole situation. 2009, she shaves the side of her head. You were there when it happened.
Yes.
Describe that whole situation.
It was basically inside a club, and it was a lady standing up over. And
It sounds like, hold on. So I heard Gene Deal tell the same story. Now I don't know if Gene Deal seen what happened. Gene Deal might have not had seen what happened. He might have just been recounting the story. But I heard Gene Deal tell this exact same story. He was like, a white lady came down some stairs and she had half of her head shaved off. And that's when they had Cassie shave the side of her head.
And I'm saying to myself, what is he looking at? What is he looking at? And then I think he had somebody, one of his assistants, say something to the lady. And then he told Cassie, yo, you gonna get that haircut right there. You gonna get that. And Cassie was just like, okay, pop. You know what I'm saying? She used to call Puff Pop.
This shit's got accurate, Jack. This shit's got accurate, huh?
And she said, okay, and next thing you know, the next day,
Jack, okay, pop. Shaved head. Pop it.
if I'm not mistaken, his personal barber, Curtis, was the one that cut her hair for that first time.
Okay, and she wasn't against it, it wasn't forced or anything else like that, right?
I don't know what happened in private, if she was rebuking it or not, but I know that next day she got that haircut.
Well, I remember during that time, it became a trend. You'd go to the mall and see black girls, white girls, all with the side of their head shaved, and yeah,
it became such a big thing that nobody ever looked at it as controlling. We looked at it as a...
Okay, well that same year, Cassie got...
Yes.
And originally she got D cups.
Right.
Which, with a girl that small...
She's too small to get D cups. I'm just going to be honest with you, bro. I'm looking at Cassie's structure, her body frame, like what she look like. She too small for some deep breasts, bro. And it's crazy that you got this much power that you could make. You could tell her to go in there and get some deep breaths, and then you look at it and say, oh, I don't like it, take it out. Bro, you got power, nigga. You gotta have money to do that type of shit. I ain't got that kind of money. I ain't gonna say nothing about
She don't have to be small girl.
I ain't got that kind of money.
Right. But who ultimately she did decide to get the D cups. When she got home, Puffy was upset.
Right, and she had to go back and get C cups.
Okay.
I remember that specifically because she had to wear
she had to go back
things where
and
she
go
couldn't
down
pick
the
up
side.
So I used to have to help her out the car and pick up her bags and things like that because she was wrapped up.
Okay, but when he told her go back and get them redone, was she upset?
I didn't know. I didn't know if not because my job was just she just went back. I didn't have that conversation when she was upset.
How long after the first breast job did she go back to get the second?
If I wanna, don't hold me to it. It was so long ago, but I would say a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks later.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you niggas said pop up and 5. Mr. Turner, think of the 5. Says, nah, I love my wife. We ain't doing no shit like that. That's 2 people with similar kinks. Okay. Why can't you think of the 2? Said, act, my birthday is 17, man. Throw a party. The only party's there. It's not a good party. It's not a party. Rainbow says, happy birthday, Big Act. I love you. Wait, bro. Brit Hart says, yo, happy birthday. Am I officially uncle? He says, I'm uncle. Ron J77 says, Act, I'm posting a link to the video of Diddy chastising Cassie in the chat. The replies. I don't know. You could do it. I don't know something going on. Tree. Thank you for the new membership. Opiates numb the pain. Molly's a stimulant. Makes you feel more. 3 niggas. What up, bro? She needs to feel the feeling of not feeling. Okay. Mother, these motherfuckers is fucking 24/7, man. Louisiana Slick says, hey, happy Act Day. Act on a dead homie, cuz. So they said, so yes, Jules was in the freak off too? No. There's a Daniel Phillips. His porn name or his escort name was Jules. He was the guy who was a very regular freak off dick donator. Okay? Shout out to you guys. Maconi says, I love you, Act. Game Story, thank you, Bob. Says he had to sign a deal, married her. All the staff jobs closed on the line. They didn't do what he said. So the power dynamic we felt was bad. That's what the prosecutor tried to prove. Tiny Vicente, thank you, the 10 neighbors. He says if you start by playing the game, it can turn her leave. When you don't let her leave the freak off and beat her, extort her, if she tries to leave, you might release some videos. They're like, if they definitely have proof of, like, say, text message where he says, I'm leaking this if you leave, that might show that there was some threats of violence or some blackmail happening. D. Bacon says, happy birthday. I just turned 30. Oh, happy birthday to you. Are you a Taurus? Thando, thank you for becoming a member. Rita, what's up, girl? Kendrick's Kendrick Intern says, happy Crit Day, Act. Happy P-Day, Act. Don't get diddly. Force Calibration says, Act, you should be a real professional interpreter. All right, by the way, Coco Antoinette says, Act, have you seen Jonathan's Odie's new joke? Oh my God, he did do an interview? He was supposed to do one with me. Now I'm tired. He didn't do it? Jonathan Odie interview, yeah. He had people reaching out trying to do one. You know what I mean? Where's the new one? Send me a link to see the new one. But I think he was trying to do what was a blog or something. Manny17, thank you for the 5. You didn't have a message with that. And why? Okay, yes. I'll go over to the Academy page and read those in a little bit, but let's get back to some of the updates. Okay, here we go. So this is confirmation that after the freak offs, she would make love to Combs, and maybe that was her reasoning to do it because she wanted that one-on-one time with him, right? Combs then says, you're period. Mr. Combs is asking when you're on it, right? She says, yeah. He's asking in the context when to meet up and have sex. He says, looks like it. And Stavo says, sometimes you would watch him with a female. She says 2 or 3 times. So she's downplaying that, acting like, because we keep hearing about the freak offs where he is watching her get fucked. We don't hear about freak offs, and the government has never mentioned freak offs, where she watches him with another female. Actually, we've never even known until now there were freak offs with other females. Now, this is going to contextualize the freak off and contextualize what Cassie was into. Diddy, I still think he's gay, because if you haven't seen him rub you're gay. But he was a voyeur, like he was into voyeurism. It appears that she was either into it or tolerated it because she was into it as well. She wanted to watch him fuck, or let's not say wanted to. She did. She watched him fuck other people. Okay? So she said 2 to 3 times. So she's downplaying it. Remember, she said she did freak-offs hundreds of times, which we have to now assume most of them meant. Gustavo said, did you ever talk with Mr. Combs about the swinger lifestyle? Ventura says, yeah, that no one talks about. I guess that was their conversation, that nobody talks about the swinger. Gustavo says, were you keeping freak-offs secret from your friends? She said yes. Gustavo says, his assistants help him? She says, with everything. Gustavo then says, you would remember if an assistant came in during one of the sessions with the escort, right? She says, not necessarily. I was high. Gustavo says, so you don't remember much? You don't, right? He said, I my privacy invaded a lot during that relationship. Okay. Okay, all right. This lawyer is getting Cassie a little bit defensive and a little bit, she's admitting a few things. She's admitting a few things. What I believe her current line of questions is proving is that we all know the diddler is a freaky fraud, a freaky ass nigga. But it appears that Cassie was equally probably as freaky as well. And at least initially, her being freaky or her indulging in some of the freaky behavior was not only either her idea, but she was loving it initially, loving it. Even though she would have these conversations about, I can't wait till we have kids. Okay? Rondo 23, thank you for the 2. It says, happy birthday, Acton Watson since 2014 when I was 16. I appreciate you, my boy. Amka says, happy birthday, Acton and Shaq King since 2017. Damn, girl, thank you for watching all these years. Lucas, thank you for 5, says, happy birthday, Acton Watson over 10 years. I appreciate you, brother. Yo, chat, this is how long I've been going. I know that people have been watching for over 10 years. Thank you guys so much. Honestly, that definitely warms my heart. It shows, number one, you know, hopefully I'm doing a good job providing you the entertainment and information that you need to get through your day or however else. But also, this shows your loyalty. You guys have been rocking it for 10 years. You know, you're not a fly-by-night supporter. You guys still went on to other stuff. You guys still come here to check in, still fuck with me. You see me grow. You see probably the best of me and worst of me. I appreciate you guys so much, right? Yo, Jess is over here. Age checking the minute. Yo, man. Yo, Jess. Yo, Jess. Yo, Jess, how you gonna let everybody else lie about their age but not me? Why can't I say I'm 30? Everybody else lying? I don't even want to give up some of y'all favorite celebrity secrets. How old y'all think so is? I don't see. I'm joking, bro. I don't give a fuck. Like, bro, like, if y'all been watching me 10 years, I'm growing with y'all. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? I'm not a rapper. I think it matters more for rappers. Sigger Hot. He says, I left the Discord and I drive truck, so I'm bored now. From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So keep me laughing. Thank you, bro. And he also says, yo, Diddy is cooking this one. Ask your boy. It says, man, you good. Stop me, bro. Marie says, yo, it's lit. See you tonight. Oh, damn, I can't wait to see Maurice.
Alright, we're gonna go to something now. We'll go to this. I done got, you know, okay.
Okay, this is it. Wait, it's not out yet? It's already came out. Huh? It's a Whack and Adam podcast. What the hell? Oh, it's like the Adam and Whack show with the no shit. Okay. I didn't know. Nah, you gotta go here to get this stuff.
Nobody went to San Diego.
Right.
So now I'm sitting back and I'm saying, yeah, that's why I'm gonna put Money Mike's body on you, right? Why they wanted it, you know. We're gonna kick it off a little bit. I get a call from his significant other saying, he said, Big, you trying to pin a murder on. I said, what? He said, you said something about Money Mike. I said, I ain't got nothing to do with loose cannon. Yeah, who's Money Mike? This dude that on live, right? I said, that has nothing to do with loose cannon. How why would Big U do that, right? She said, I don't know, but he says you may have access to a video that can help him show it wasn't him, right? I said, I think I know somebody that may have that video. Let me make a call, right? So I make the call, I get the video. I'm not thinking nothing of it. I send it over to her, right? Because in my head, I'm like, damn, that's fucked up. Think you feeling like pin something on this dude that ain't him.
Okay, now, to kind of like, heard the story, because Wax will talk for like about like 10 minutes like this. So Wax calls me and he tells me, listen, there's something about some murder. I would never say this, honestly, but Wax pretty much said it on the number. He basically said, there's something about some murder investigation, some open murder, and unlike everybody else, once I hear police is investigating a murder, I'm usually, especially if I know the people, I have no problem with it. Now, the way I Wax explains it to me is like, there's somebody who died. They're trying to put the murder, or Big U is supposedly, according to Luz, trying to put the murder on Luz. But it appears that Luz is trying to dangle this murder as a carrot to the feds that he could snitch to get out, and maybe beefing with Wack is, and I don't know if Wack has nothing to do with it. It's trying to throw Wack in the mix or something in the case. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be trying to implicate Wack in some fucking murder or I don't know what the fuck. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what I was told. Fucking Wack sends me. I don't even know how Wack has it. But apparently this is the video. This is the video of some murder that happens. Which I'm like, how the hell we're hearing about this? That's why I'm like, yo, these are the things that kind of spook me. Well, what do we do? So this is a murder that's supposedly not charging none of the indictments. This is the video, and apparently police is looking for the people that did the fucking murder and video and whatever. You know what I mean? And what Wack basically told me was like, yo, listen.
Electrified. Ion. Hungo tire.
This laptop is a revolution in education. The benefits of a traditional school shipped directly to your doorstep.
Luz Cannon was trying to ask about getting this video because he's trying to work like, well, I don't think he told Wack. Wack was like, I think he's trying to work with the feds in trying to help them solve this murder. Or no, maybe Big U was trying to work with them to help solve this murder, but Big U was going to implicate Luz Cannon. And then Luz Cannon is then trying to flip this video and probably trying to, I don't know, money or blow Wack's name. And I'm like, we need to set up. This guy's kind of moving different, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, y'all know I'm talking about open murders once again? I want to check out this. I'm good. See what I mean? So this is the video that I got. Now, I don't know, like, this is years old. Supposedly it's a cold case video. Somebody runs down here. By the way, trigger one. I don't know if I take off the screen. Yo, Joe, you gotta blur. Actually, I'm gonna take it off for a second because I think they're gonna shoot that. Oh, no, actually, they're struggling with them at first. Struggle. If something happens, I think I'll see now. They're like, yeah, we can shoot the guy. Taking some stuff off of him. Okay. And then these guys run to a car over here. And the car that's waiting. And the car moves. So apparently this is a cold case. Okay? So if you're wondering like, yo, oh man, Wack is his own act, that's not the case. The reality of it is that Wack told me that basically there's some open murder that he feels that Luz Cannon is using after he supposedly at the initial process claimed that Big U was going to try to put that murder on him. he feels that loose cannon now is trying to use that murder to try, or information about the murder, to get out of jail, and that's why loose cannon is kind of getting into it with him. And I don't know. It's not my job to be believing this. Once I hear that a fucking murder, I will be honest with you, I'm so confused. Like, I have no idea who plays a life like this. Once I would see a video like this, I would never even come. You know what I mean? But if loose cannon is involved with this, apparently still doing content from jail. And by the way, I didn't tell Trees. If you see this, if you wonder why I probably just don't want no more calls, I'm good. Just gonna take my little step back. I got a lot more other things I can cover to get information, but for everybody who needs to know, including the audience, no white didn't force me to do anything. Even though if he did say, I'm involved in some shit, he's not covered, I will cover. But he never told me that. He just said, yo, I think Lucy trying to set me up on some shit I got nothing to do with, because he thought he was gonna get set up by you. There's an open murder case. I had given him a video or not, I don't know, something of the sort, and I was just like, once I watched the video of somebody dying, I said, why the fuck is people still in their mind? I'm gonna fall back.
We changed. We're going somewhere else with it.
LA is all about legacy. Football taught me how to build.
Today, in
It's
a
industry secrets.
the judge, he was, quote, a little nervous. Reynolds' criminal trial began this morning. He is racketeering and more. The two sides are now in the process of selecting a jury of 12 plus alternates. Most of the prospective jurors acknowledge they're aware of Combs' case and also the allegations that span some 20 years. Among those allegations, he's accused of forcing at least 3 women to engage in facts with him and at times with male prostitutes during parties known as freak-offs, which last for days. Combs faces spending the rest of his life in prison.
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling
Right. Federal prosecutors allege Combs used his power and wealth to coerce and exploit alleged victims for decades. If convicted, Combs would be spending the rest of his life in federal prison. Defense attorneys for Combs contend that all of his encounters were consensual and have described the music mogul as a swinger who invited third parties into his bedroom. Last week, federal prosecutors offered Combs a chance to plead guilty for a reduced sentence. He turned it down.
Sean Diddy Combs, once celebrated as the king of hip-hop entrepreneurship, is now sitting in a courtroom, shackled not just by handcuffs, but by years of accusations, lawsuits, and federal scrutiny. What was once whispered about in Hollywood circles is now being screamed from the headline. And while many celebrities are choosing to stay quiet, comedian Cat Williams is doing what he does best, speaking up when no one else will. He's been warning us for years about the dark underbelly of fame. And see now, with Diddy's trial in full swing, people are finally starting to listen. We're diving deep into the official start of Diddy's trial, the disturbing allegations laid out by prosecutors, the brave testimonies from victims, and Cat Williams' bold reaction. Because this isn't just about one man falling from grace. It's about exposing a decades-long pattern of hidden behind the red carpet and platinum records. On May 5th, 2025, the courtroom doors opened on what could be one of the biggest celebrity trials in modern history. Sean Combs, known worldwide as Diddy, is facing 5 federal charges, and none of them are minor. These aren't tabloid rumors or civil lawsuits being brushed under the rug for the settlement.
So the Diddy trial starts next week. It is here. They will do jury selection next week. The plan is for opening statements a week from Monday. So it is before us, folks. And there is something really interesting on the prosecution side. Yes, we talked about a little bit about theatrics from Diddy's side and what he... I wouldn't call it theatrics. Not theatrics. I call it strategy. It's not illegal strategy. But appearances make a difference. They do in court. And obviously the feds are aware of this as well because we now know who all the prosecutors will be on Diddy's trial. They're all women.
They assembled a team of female prosecutors, and that is definitely not by accident. And some of them, at least one of them, is very famous. You know the name. Famous family. This is the daughter, Maureen Comey, is the daughter of the former FBI director. And James Comey, I think, was a prosecutor in the Southern District of New York. Was indeed. In fact, he prosecuted Martha Stewart. Right. So, it all kind of comes together here. And Maureen Comey, who we're told from all accounts, she is a fierce prosecutor. She was involved in prosecuting Ghislaine Maxwell and also Jeffrey Epstein. So he's been involved in some very big cases. And then the other 5 lead prosecutors, Emily Ann Johnson, Madison Reddick Smizer, Mary Christine Slavic, Meredith Foster, and Mitzi Steiner. Everything begins with an M there. Yeah, except for Emily. Well, but that sounds like an M. Sounds like an M. Right. So it's the M and M and M and M and M. So like Carl said, I suppose it could be coincidence. I think it's coincidence. And especially given the nature of the case. Yeah. Because when you look at who is examining these various witnesses, especially female alleged victims, of which there will be 4, prosecutors often do look for a female attorney, female prosecutor, for various reasons. If there's a connection there, if there's a comfort level there, where they can open up and talk. And I don't think this is coincidental at all. But I think this is a double-edged sword in a way.
We're talking about racketeering conspiracy, trafficking-related offenses, and interstate crimes involving underage victims. The trial is expected to last 6 to 8 weeks, and the outcome could determine whether Diddy spends the rest of his life behind bars. What's already shocking the public is the scope of the investigation. This isn't just about one party gone wrong. Prosecutors believe Diddy ran a full-blown criminal organization, using his music empire as a cover for predatory behavior, coercion, and a pipeline of illegal activities involving contraband, firearms, and exploitation.
Diddy was just finally arrested, which is probably a good thing, and they also searched his home. What they found in his home, though, is just unfathomable. They found a lot of things, including narcotics and firearms, but what really stood out to me was the fact that they found 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. To top it off, it was reported that these items were allegedly used in, quote, freak-offs. I don't even...
A lot of people, they saying, oh yeah, the baby oil and all that. But the man had firearms. They must have, like, they're not talking nothing about the firearms. Like, I don't know anybody going in a criminal case and don't talk about guns. You know what it is. But they got Brian Steele, boy. Young Thug home right now. So let's
I know what a freak off is. Anyways, 1,000 bottles of anything in someone's home is something I just never thought I would hear, unless it's in like a middle school math question. But I'm shocked, to say the least. Hopefully this guy never gets out, because if he does, I'd be surprised.
So you had some news coming up, which is a documentary.
What's up?
He didn't pop that, and he didn't do it, right? And you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
And I'm the one who's been vocal about this long before that.
Oh, you've been saying this for a long time, and then no one was, why is he saying this, and now it's coming out like crazy.
But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to the party. Yeah. So a lot of the celebrity coaches, you know what I'm saying? I think it's because they participate.
Never sue the other driver after a car accident. There's a better way to get paid a way bigger check without having to go to court.
So a lot of the celebrity coaches, you know what I'm saying? I think it's because they participate.
Was there a reason you never went to those parties back in the day? Obviously, I know what's going on, but is there a reason you never did?
I'm just not with all that. Like all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just a little more, maybe you could say basic or normal.
From day one of jury selection, it became clear that this case wasn't going to be easy to navigate. Almost every potential juror admitted they'd seen videos or heard stories about Diddy's past behavior. The most infamous piece of evidence, a surveillance tape from 2016 that shows Diddy violently attacking his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway. That clip alone has shaped public perception, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. Inside the courtroom, prosecutors described Diddy's behavior as organized, consistent, and abusive. They painted a picture of an elaborate operation, private parties that were more like ritualistic gatherings, surveillance systems used not for security, but for blackmail, and a revolving door of young women manipulated into silence through fear and luxury. One official even described Diddy's properties as adult playgrounds with a dark soul, complete with panic rooms, hidden chambers, and contraband stashed behind false walls. And yet, some critics are still asking, is this finally justice, or is it a public takedown of a rich black man by a corrupt system?
I was trying to do something where that hadn't been done. I thought that I had figured out the algorithm mathematically, and I thought that I could show that. And when I wrote it out to kill the careers of the people I was talking about, right? But it was so vicious that I erased all of the knockout blows and just left the jabs, so that the comic I'm talking about knows that I know your real story, motherfucker. I'm gonna tell this, but you know what else I know. So, yeah, I was. You want to tell me the story now? Well, I'm saying.
If there's one celebrity who doesn't care about protecting Hollywood's secrets, it's Cat Williams. The outspoken comedian didn't hold back when the news broke that Diddy's trial was officially underway. In a recent live stream, Cat looked directly into the camera and said, "The hunter is now the hunted. You can only hide behind private jets and parties for so long." He described Diddy's alleged lifestyle as a well-oiled machine of exploitation, saying it was designed to lure in vulnerable people with promises of fame, then break them with substances and silence.
Puppy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around, just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material in the way? Just looking. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music, so come up there and play the music. I'm sitting, looking, I'm waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week, and I was like, for what? I think he's trying to. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh, okay. I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make you a cook, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, threaten to knock their head off, or talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks in a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy would say. So always be the man. And that's always my whole thing. And I've lost businesses because I don't bend over a man. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that. Because the man called me everything.
For Cat, this isn't just about Diddy. It's about what he represents. He's spoken before about celebrities who host secret parties where contracts are signed in blood, not ink. And now he's pointing to Diddy's trial as proof that everything he said is starting to be exposed. His words aren't just rants. They're resonating with a public that's tired of being gaslit by the rich and famous. The emotional core of this trial lies in the stories of the women who finally stepped forward, some after decades of silence. Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former longtime partner, made headlines in 2023 when she filed a lawsuit accusing him of physical and years of psychological torment.
What about the video of Cassie Ventura, his ex-girlfriend, where he ran down the hallway half naked, he dragged her, threw her to the ground, kicked her, and all that stuff? We saw that video. First of all, we don't know. I'd like to know whether you believe that's going to be admissible in this court case, number one. And number two, the fact that she's agreed to testify against them according to the report. How damning do you believe there is potential for that to be?
I think that video is the prosecution's single most important and most powerful piece of evidence. It will come in, by the way. That was the subject of a pre-trial ruling. The judge said, yes, you may play the video. Now, the question is going to be, what's the relevance, what's the context around it? If here the prosecutor is going to argue this was part of him threatening, forcing, coercing, abusing this woman as part of his effort to traffic her across state lines for purposes. Apparently the defense is going to be, no, this had nothing to do with this trafficking, rape, or coercion. This was a fight they were having over infidelity. And, you know, I think Cassandra will be the most important witness for the prosecution. But the attack on her is going to be, she's a liar, she's telling them what they want to hear, she's looking to raise her own profile, she's got a bad financial incentive. And so, look, so much of this just comes down to the jurors are going to be sitting feet away from her. I mean, I've been in these courtrooms. They're going to be 4 feet away from her, and so much of it is just going to come down to how they assess her demeanor. What does she look like? How does she deliver her answers? Is she credible? From what I've seen of her in public, she seems quite credible to me, but people don't always play the same on the witness stand as they do in front of the camera.
What about the documentaries and stuff like that that have been put out about him and some of the allegations against him, and people essentially co-signing on what he's being accused of because they're highlighting his behavior or what it was throughout these years? How much of an impact, if any at all, do you expect that to have?
So prosecutors cannot obviously just play the documentaries, pieces of the documentaries for the jurors, right? That would be inadmissible. However, if there's a witness on the stand who has previously spoken in one of these documentaries, and there will be many of those, everything they've said previously can be used to cross-examine, to impeach them, as we say. So if a witness gets on the stand and says something a little different than what he or she said in the documentary, or leaves out a detail, or adds a detail that they didn't say in the documentary, then that's absolutely fair game for cross-examination. And I assume in this case, if the prosecutors are any good at their jobs, and I'm sure they are, it's my former office, they have not just whatever the documentaries are, but the raw footage that came before. Because a lot of times, you know, you'll do a 2-hour interview and it'll end up being 12 minutes of the documentary. So I assure you both sides have watched that footage very carefully, and it's all in play just the same as it was prior testimony, you know, to a police officer in front of a grand jury.
That tender navy bean nestled in brown sugar sauce with a smoky and bacon.
And it's all in play just the same as it was prior testimony, you know, to a police officer in front of a grand jury. It can be used.
Though that case was settled quickly, it opened the floodgates. Since then, more than 20 women have come forward with similar and sometimes even more disturbing claims. One woman alleges she was trafficked by Diddy starting at age 17 and was forced into contacts with other celebrities. Another claims she was given against her will and filmed in compromising situations for leverage. Former Danity Kane member Don Richard also hinted at the dark side of Bad Boy Records, saying there were rules about what to wear, who to talk to, and what not to say. These stories aren't random. Prosecutors argue they form a clear pattern of behavior, one where Diddy used wealth and fear to control everyone around him.
Are you afraid in some ways that he'll get out, that there'll be some sort of retribution? Oh yeah.
Alright, y'all, so I'm about to end it off. Glad I was able to come in here, do a couple hours with y'all. Man, y'all kicking me in the Comment Cafe. I want y'all to like, subscribe, share. Definitely hit the notification bell. Look for the Freestyle Fanaticz podcast. I'm a fall back like a small back, and basically I'll be back like an asthma attack, man. So hey man, y'all kicking me in the Comment Cafe. I appreciate everybody coming through here. I'll be back tomorrow. I might do a couple shorts in the meantime, but hey, I appreciate y'all. One.